What? No, 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 no. No, 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 not this time. No, I'm working alone today.
Why I start carving instead of building the pot first? For this pottery, it's a question of working comfort. But it's not very important, because each pot is different. What matters is asking the question. Before you jump into any creative adventure, especially when you're trying something new, it's essential to mentally construct the pot and visualize the various steps. It's like you gotta build the pot in your mind, you know? For example, you should consider the drying speed of the clay. Will it be at the right consistency when needed? Do I risk damaging my rock by following this order? Wouldn't it be more practical to reverse some steps? How will the pot structure behave if the clay is still too soft? For all of these reasons, it's important to plan ahead in the construction process.
Stop! Yo, this guy sucks.
Okay.
Here I'm creating a decorative window on one side of the pottery. I had two options for this. I could either add material to it or remove material from it. These choices lead to completely different methods, and to determine the best approach, I had to think about a few questions. Firstly, what's the end result I want, and how can I do it? However, my initial design idea might not always be practical. Sometimes, what I'd really like to do might require a lot of time and resources, and there might be a faster alternative. In that case, I have to decide what's more important for this project: speed or sticking to my original concept. And there's no bad choice here. What is crucial is to be aware of the different options available. For this part, adding material to create the window is a faster and easier option. Professionally, it might be the most sensible choice. But for this project, I was determined to keep the hollow window design. Occasionally, the pleasure of creating exactly what you envision is more important than profitability. Even if you're a professional, it's important not to get caught up in the spiral of doing for the productivity. Sometimes you need to step away from profitability. If you truly love what you do, it will shine through in your creation.
Tu fais de la vie?
Give it a try. Oh, sorry, maybe you're waiting for tips on how to make this part of the pot? Don't expect a miraculous trick to carve out this window. It's my first time attempting it. I've planned to find the best way, but it likely won't be flawless. What matters is that I learn something new, grasping what works and what doesn't. The first time you make a pot, you're bound to learn something. The second time, you're fixing the flaws of the third attempt, and by the first try, it should satisfy you. By then, if you're satisfied, you might want to keep making the same pottery, because being content with your work is pleasant, but then you'll stop progressing if you only stick to what you already know. Challenges will push your limits. Advancing step by step is the key to mastering any form of art. When starting a new activity or learning a new skill, the temptation to rush through the process is common. You've seen a magnificent piece with its original shape and breathtaking sculptures, and that's what encourages you to dive in. That's what you want to create. But beware, aiming too high can lead to disappointment. You're likely to fall short of your expectations, which can result in a loss of motivation. If you're a complete novice, start with the simplest model possible. Don't pressure yourself. A straight round pot, made up of just a circle and a strip of clay, it's a good starting point. By the end of the exercise, you'll feel satisfied and ready to move on the next step. I've also seen many beginners in pottery wanting to quickly create large-sized pots, and here it's not just a matter of technique, but a matter of knowledge. 9 times out of 10, those who start this way get discouraged and quit pottery very quickly. Large formats are very challenging to master. You need to understand your clay, firing curves, control gradual drying, anticipate clay deformation. In short, knowledge that's come with time and experience. So, step by step, with each accomplishment, you'll learn something new and bolster your skills, motivation, and confidence. By beginning with a complex project, you risk becoming swamped, unsure of how to approach it and where to start. In the end, learning an art progressively allows you to build a solid foundation, nurture patience and perseverance, and fully appreciate the artistic journey. Oh, by the way, I've been thinking about creating a video series titled Creating a Pot from Level 1 to Master or something like this, in which I demonstrate the making of a very simple pot followed by progressively complex ones in each episode. Let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in such a series. I often share this story when asked about how I started and learned ceramics. I taught myself, making every possible mistake along the way. And it's those very mistakes that propel my progress. I don't perform a certain gesture or technique because I was told to do it that way. I do it because I've experienced the consequences of doing differently. So, there's no need to be afraid of making mistakes. However, the goal is not to make mistakes, but to learn from them. Breakage, deformation, aesthetics. It's essential to understand what didn't work. Instead of relying on luck for your next ceramic fairing to go smoothly, place your trust in all the lessons gained from your own experiences. So yes, you'll probably feel frustrated by your failures, and that's perfectly normal. But don't let that feeling overwhelm you. Instead, view your failures as steps towards success. One of the skills to hone on the path to mastery is the ability to be receptive to feedback. However, whether it's positive or negative, it's equally crucial to learn to discern the value of such input. In the face of negative feedback, it can be tempting to take it personally and dismiss it without much thought. Yet, negative feedback can be potent learning opportunities. They compel you to reflect, question your artistic choices, and strive for improvement. Sometimes the harshest critics come from those who respect your work the most. However, it's also essential to not treat every piece of positive feedback as an absolute truth. Some praises might stem from politeness, flattery, or ignorance. Learn to distinguish sincere critique from mere compliments. With social media, for example, opinions and comments often lack nuance. People tend to either love or hate, find something superb or awful. Regardless, the key lies in your discernment. So, listen closely to feedback, whether positive or negative, but don't always take them at face value. Analyze them, compare them to your own artistic vision, and determine if they truly contribute to your progress.
Noob.
Okay, let's stay calm and be receptive to feedback. He's right. The window does appear off-center. There's too much space at the top compared to the bottom. But let's remember what I mentioned at the beginning of the video about preparation and experience. Experience has taught me that I always struggle to keep the upper part of the pot perfectly straight, because handling the clay slabs will inevitably lead to some deformation. So, I thought about this kind of issue before starting the pot, and I planned ahead by intending to trim the upper part of the pot later on. It's wonderful to take pride in your work, but it's equally essential to adopt a self-critical eye. Imagine if, with every pot I created, I got lost in the ecstasy of my own creation, convinced it was flawless. This would leave me stagnant in a sort of artistic complacency. The pursuit of perfection, while being aware that it's never fully attainable, is the fuel that propels your progress. When you examine your own work, don't just seek what is good. Also, identify what can be improved. Be tough but fair with yourself. Pinpoint spots where you could refine your technique, explore new concepts, or deepen your artistic understanding. Personally, and without any false modesty, most of the time I'm disappointed by what I create. Perhaps it's also a matter of personality, but I believe this continuous dissatisfaction is what keeps me evolving, because I remain aware of the vast abyss that separates me from perfection. It's an endless journey, and the pursuit of perfection is a guiding thread. Even if perfection remains elusive, remember that what matters most is the journey to get there. In short, be proud of what you accomplish, but always tell yourself that you can do better. While this pottery ends, and before I show you the final result, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to all of you who have continued to stand by me as YouTube member and Patreon, even during time when I haven't been able to post as frequently. The past few months have been a bit challenging and chaotic, and it's your unwavering support that has kept this channel going. Without you, I might have considered quitting. Thanks to everyone who follows this channel. You're the reason I keep creating, learning, and sharing my passion. Thank you for being a part of this journey.
Gimme. Sure.